welcome back to my channel. My name's John and I'm the Geeky Man, and today we're back in Manchester. I'm going to be taking a walk along the northern half of the city, looking at the different historic sites, buildings and plaques along the way. So let's crack on. I'm just in front of the Ashton Canal, which takes us right into the heart of the city centre. But I've not really come to visit the canal, but the next structure is actually part of the canal. So let's take a look. Now this is Store Street Aqueduct and it was completed in 1798. It's a Grade 2 listed building, but there is something a little bit different about it which makes it a little bit special. So what we'll do is we'll take a look down from the ground level and have a proper look. Let's crack on. So the reason it's a little bit different than other aqueducts out there is it's actually built on a shew arch, which basically means it's built on an angle. Now it is expected to have been one of the first to have been built like this, and it's actually the oldest one remaining that's still in use. So let's get on to our next location. Welcome to Piccadilly basin. Now this next to me is the Rochdale Canal. It runs from the Bridgewater Canal all the way up to Swayne Bridge. The reason I've come down onto here is just to show you something. Now, this canal is the only canal in the UK, well the only canal left in the UK to be situated on the buildings. So let's get back outside and get some natural light again. So we're back out again in the natural light and we're back on Piccadilly Basin, and the next building we're going to visit is just over here. This is Dale Street Warehouse, so time for our first lot of geeky facts. Dale Street Warehouse was completed in 1806 and is a Grade 2 listed building. It is the earliest surviving canal warehouse in the city centre. It was designed by engineer William Jessup. The base of the building incorporates 4 boreholes which allow boats to unload their cargoes inside the warehouse. The warehouse also incorporates a subterranean wheel pit containing a 16-foot water wheel used to drive hosts both in this building and in the former warehouse to the south via a line shaft tunnel which mostly survives beneath the car park. I'm going to be heading into the heart of Manchester's northern quarter with its many clubs, bars, pubs, etc. But it does have a massive industrial past, and there's just something along here I want to show you. Now, these are cast iron curbs, and they're not unique to Manchester. In all honesty, all the industrial cities around the UK, and not just in the UK, across the world, installed them. Generally installed in Victorian times, and basically they were put in place because the amount of damage that was being caused to the curbs and having to replace them, and as you can see, they're still standing today. So let's get on to our next location. I'm just on Hilton Street, and as you can see behind me, there's an old warehouse there. It's now been converted into restaurants and bars and also apartments. But just in front of me are some old houses that used to be covering the whole area. So let's take a look. Now these homes would have had anywhere up to 10 to 15 people living in one single room. They were separate properties at each level. There was quite a mix in this whole area of rich and poor people, and sadly the poor in the society did have it extremely hard. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a bit of basic information about the history of the area. So let's get going. The Northern Quarter is an area of Manchester city centre, centred on Oldham Street just off Piccadilly Gardens. A centre of alternative culture, the area includes Newton Street, Great Ancoats Street, Back Piccadilly, Tib Street, Lever Street, Hilton Street and Thomas Street. During the Industrial Revolution, the area was at the centre of one of the most significant economic changes in the history and taking its place as the world capital of the textile industry. In common with the city as a whole, the area became characterised with both wealth and poverty. So our next location is probably one of the most iconic places in Manchester for independent shopping. This is, as I know, at Ashton Palace, but Affleck's. So, time for some geeky facts. Affleck's, formerly Affleck's Palace, is an indoor market. Dozens of independent stores, small shops and boutiques operate in the building. The building was once home to Affleck and Brown, one of the city's principal department stores. Affleck and Brown started in the 1860s as a draper business. The business had a good reputation as a credit draper and was known for a range of cloth for home dressmaking. The business started to decline after the Second World War and closed in 1973. Affleck's Palace first opened in 1982 by James and Elaine Walsh, offering a safe environment for entrepreneurs to start out with an affordable rent and no long-term contracts. The atmosphere and colourful maze link layout led to Affleck's becoming a mecca for alternative culture. On the 31st of March 2008, Affleck Palace ceased trading. It was reopened on the 1st of April 2008 as Affleck's under new Mancunity property development Bruntwood. Affleck's has over 73 businesses operated inside, ranging from alternative clothing, record shops, retro game shops, and cafes. Welcome to Mackie Market. Now today it's actually a food hall which has plenty of different options cuisine wise, so if you are in Manchester in the Northern Quarter, definitely worth visiting if you like your good grub. But it actually used to be part of Smithfield Market, as did this whole area. So time for some geeky facts. The area was named Smithfield Market in May 1822. The area became more popular and in 1850 more land was acquired. Built between 1857 and 1858 and roofed over in 1865, the hall replaced an earlier butcher's shambles on the same site. As the area continued to expand, a retail fish market was built the same year. The building has since been demolished, however, its extensions, built in two stages, has survived. At its peak in 1897, the marketplace covered 4.5 acres in Manchester city centre, stretching from Swan Street in Ancoats, Thomas Street in the Northern Quarter, Shug Hill to the east, and Oak Street to the northwest. So we're at our final location for today. Welcome to Ancoats. Just to the left of me is the Rochdale Canal, and the first building we're going to visit is just over here. So this is Old Mill, and it was part of Murray's Mill. Now it was completed in 1798 and was powered by a steam engine from Bolton and Watt. It is actually the oldest remaining cotton mill in Manchester. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a proper look round Ancoats and give you some geeky facts. So, our last lot of geeky facts. Ancoats became a cradle of the Industrial Revolution and has been called the world's first industrial suburb. The name Ancoats is likely to have derived from the Old English Ancoats, meaning lonely cottages. The settlement is first recorded as Ellicote in 1212 and in 1320 was recorded as one of the 8 hamlets within the township of Manchester. The first mills were built in Ancoats as early as 1790. From the opening of the Rochdale Canal in 1804, the development of mills continued on a much larger scale. Mills in Ancoats include Victoria Mills, Wellington Mill, Brunswick Mill, India Mills, Dalton Mills, Lonsdale Mills, Phoenix Mill, Lloydsfield Mill, Sedgwick Mill, Decker Mill, New Mill, Beehive Mill, Little Mill, Royal Mill, and Pym Mill. By 1850, Ancoats was the most populous district in Manchester. Streets of back-to-back houses and court dwellings were rapidly built. In 1851, Ancoats' total population was 53,737, larger than towns such as Bury and Blackburn. However, despite the large population, it lacked public buildings and spaces. There were no parks, and the only public buildings were a few churches and a dispensary. During the 19th century, due to political and economical circumstances, many Italians left Italy. The Italians who arrived in Ancoats created what became known as Ancoats Little Italy. And I'm just outside St Michael's Church now in the heart of Old Ancoats, and there's a plaque here that I want to show you. Now, it wasn't just Italian immigrants that actually were around this area. There was a lot of Irish immigrants as well. So, this has been today's video. In my next video, I'm actually leaving Manchester and I'm going visiting an abandoned village. So next time, peace and love.